welcome back to the Be the Hero channel. My name is Isabel and I help you understand the stars so that you can feel more clarity and control over your life so that you can live your purpose and be the creator of your reality. Now today I wanted to talk about a very specific astrology aspect, which is having your North Node in Pisces in your 6th house. And the reason for this is I get so many comments talking about basically the opposition aspect, I like to call it. So we have both a sign and a house that we get our North Node in. And if you know anything about astrology, as I talk about in any of my videos, there is always a house that represents each zodiac sign. So the North Node, so Aries represents the 1st house, Taurus represents the 2nd house, and so on. And so they have this common theme. And I often recently get comments about these opposition North Nodes that so many people have, such as having their North Node in Aries, but in their 7th house, which is the opposite house of Aries. The North Node in Taurus in the 8th house, the North Node in Gemini, but in the 9th house, etc. And so today I want to talk about one that is often confusing with, ironically, a lot of clients that I tend to get, which is having your North Node in Pisces, but in your 6th house. How does it play out to be focused on depth and yet practicality at the same time? These are opposing truths, it seems to be. So in this video, I want to break it down for you guys. So first, let's dive into what the North Node is as a quick overview for those who don't know. The North Node is our, simply put, highest path to growth in this lifetime. It is something we are destined to learn to embrace, and it is a huge aspect in manifestation and our growth journey as people here on Earth. And not only is the North Node its own aspect in solidarity, but it also plays a lot into the South Node. The North and South Node are these opposing, this axis that we all have. The South Node is our overused gifts and talents. In Vedic astrology is known as the body of a dragon. This represents how it's the core of our being in many ways. It's a core trait we can carry through life, something that can actually serve us very well. And the South Node is in the sign in a house that opposes the North Node. They're always exactly opposite of each other. You can't have a North Node in Aries and a South Node in Scorpio. So the South Node is our overused gifts and talents. And given that it's overused, not something we're supposed to completely banish, but we do need to learn to embrace our North Node so that we can step into our highest growth and learn what is the hardest thing for us to learn. And by doing so, we expand our frequency, up-level our consciousness, and manifest more abundance into our lives. The universe rewards us when we step into our North Node. So what is the Pisces archetype? Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, and in many ways it represents the first because Pisces represents the journey back to wholeness. Pisces is said to be the womb and yet our highest vibration, the final step, and yet the preface chapter. Pisces is a water sign and it represents emotions in the sense of returning to the emotional frequency of love. Pisces is a very unconditionally loving archetype. People who have a lot of Pisces in their chart tend to be unconditionally loving people, or where it sits in their chart represents where they can be very unconditionally loving. Those who have a moon in Pisces tend to want to just be in love, and for that reason, Pisces can lack boundaries. They also see the world as lacking in boundaries. They see everything as interconnected, hence why they are very empathic. Pisces is a zodiac sign that can feel other people's feelings very well. And this is true not only for the sun in Pisces, but for the moon in Pisces, and maybe even Mars in Pisces as well, and Venus in Pisces. So Pisces is this emotionally empathetic, empathic zodiac sign that is very, very sensitive. This is quite possibly the most sensitive zodiac sign because they're aware of all of the frequencies. They feel everything, to the point that sometimes they lack this sense of self, but in their highest vibration, they detach from the sense of self and realize that they are love. We come back to this idea of wholeness. So North Node in Pisces is someone who is oftentimes in their South Node in Virgo overly critical. These people tend to be raised by critical parents or critical parent who made them feel judged for being gentle. And so they become critical people, whether that's towards others or towards themselves. These are the two different ways that this can play out for the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo, is that they either become, through time, overly critical towards themselves, hard on themselves, feeling like they're never doing enough, they have to be more selfless and give in practical ways, or they do that, but primarily focus all this criticism towards other people. The South Node in Virgo can put this judgment intrinsically or extrinsically, or both. They can feel very harsh on society, feeling like people are never selfless enough, being blunt, being bitter, being all these things that build resentment. And with that in mind, the North Node is in Pisces, and that means that these people are here to learn empathy, compassion, and feeling. Ironically, the element of water is not opposing fire, it is opposing earth. And so these people with the South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces tend to be too much in practicality, and they need to learn the world of just feeling. And they find that they see life through the lens that everything's supposed to be practical rather than life is here just to feel it. And so the North Node in Pisces is someone who's here to learn compassion towards themselves, compassion towards the world around them, and to tap into their feeling. Tap into the feeling world. Focus on the energies behind things. And this could be a very spiritual practice, or this could be a very practical practice based on the sign it's in. So the 6th house in astrology is the house that represents Virgo. And it has to do with the physical area of our life where we focus on routines and stability. And this is the key difference that people have to understand between the sign and the house that your North Node is in. And for every placement, frankly, oftentimes people don't realize that there are two different aspects. There's your sign and your house it's in. And the sign it's in represents the emotional, the vibe that you're trying to embody, the archetype you're learning to embrace. Whereas the house it's in is the area of life. There are 12 houses in 12 different areas of our life, which really represents how many different areas of life we have to focus on. And your North Node, whichever house it's in, represents the area of life you tend to not focus on. And also, you don't know how to embrace it in a certain way. You have to embrace that certain area of your life based on the sign it's in. So let's break this down further. 6th house, North Node, implies that there's a focus on learning to have more routine, stability, practicality in your life. Having a day in, day out plan, looking at your schedule, having your routine, having a job you go to, having a self-care routine, taking care of your physical health. Opposite of the 6th house is the 12th house. So 6th house is all things linear. It represents our routines. I feel like that's the simplest way to put it. Your day in, day out, self-care, and life routine. Your 12th house, however, is where you go into deep subconscious work, the non-linear work. That represents the 12th house. If you have a North Node in 12th house, you're supposed to focus on, quite literally, meditating, spirituality, focusing on your mind, going into your deep subconscious programs, deep programming yourself, breaking your beliefs, healing your trauma. Whereas those with a South Node in 12th house, especially in Virgo, they might find that they have a strong critical belief in their head. They have that experience with that critical parent, and that lives in their head. And they can sometimes focus on going too invested into things, looking too deeply into things, isolating, spending time in their head, that they're not doing the practical things they need to do to take care of themselves. So those with the 12th house South Node are too much in their head. They have a tendency to be too much there, and they need to form practical routines and immerse in their physical reality. So how does this play into the fact of having also it in Pisces? To have a North Node in Pisces in your 6th house really implies having a practical day-to-day routine that nurtures your energetic body. I think the best way to describe this is to actually use a different placement. My dad, who I'm around often, he has a a moon in Pisces in 6th house. And this implies for him that he needs a lot of time out in nature, doing meditation, connecting to his feelings, being in harmony, watching movies where he can lose himself. And that's very much what the North Node in Pisces journey in 6th house is all about. You may have a tendency to think that when you're going to do the work, you need to go into your subconscious and mind and deep program, but really you're being avoidant of the things and tasks you need to do every day. These people are ironically averse to implementing routines that nurture themselves. They want to be hard on themselves. They want to promote suffering in themselves, basically, and they want to tell themselves that they're never enough. Whereas when you step into your North Node in Pisces, you learn to every day do things that feel good in you. So basically, in summary, the North Node in 6th house in Pisces is about making time every day to do things for the sake of feeling, and it doesn't always have to be a practical task. You could literally go sit and watch the birds fly by. You could go for a walk in the park. There is an accentuation with the North Node in Pisces in 6th house to spend time in nature. Not necessarily necessary, but there is a focus on being one with your energy. And so do the things that are energetically fulfilling, that aren't necessarily the most practical use of your time, but it's not always about being practical. And this is a very hard concept for the North Node in Pisces to wrap their head around because it feels counterintuitive. And that is part of the North Node. The North Node feels uncomfortable. So if you want to understand your own North Node 6th house in Pisces a little more and understand actually practical ways that you can implement it into your life and understand it better, then I highly recommend that you hit the link in the description below to book a reading with me where in 1 hour we can dive deep into your North Node as well as the rest of your chart and help you understand aspects, recreate your life, whether that is your purpose, your career, or your relationships. If you're looking for more understanding, if you're looking for a shift, then hit the link in the description below to book a reading with me now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I sincerely hope that it helped clear up what it means to have this opposing Pisces yet 6th house North Node. Let me know what you want to hear about next in the comments below and I'll be sure to film it, or just book the reading with me and then we can dive straight into your unique aspect. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars. Once again, my name's Isabel, and from my heart to yours, namaste.